I hope that you can hear the sound of the rain on the roof. It's calming. Today's been quite a day, sort of the onset of holy crap. Like, we're probably 48 hours away from lockdown, which feels necessary, sadly, uh, and scary because there's so many unknowns in that. Uh, Trying to do my best to stay on the positive side of things, and I've got a lot of emotions that are coming up and a lot of feelings that I'm feeling. This is day one of giving up sugar, and last week was the lead up to that, and of course, I did everything in my power to try and just shove those feelings away. And because I committed to doing this, and today was the first day with no sugar, I just noticed waves of feelings coming up for me, and lots of things that I've been avoiding feeling and avoiding dealing with for a long time. So, and food's my thing. It could be too much of anything: drinking, smoking, drugs, too much social media, too much avoidance by watching, incessantly and binge watching too much TV, and the addiction of being in front of that information and being obsessed with the inundation, even though the feelings aren't good and they aren't good for me. Uh, Feeling really drawn to needing to stay plugged into that, even though I know that it's not healthy for me. So today's card reading um, was no surprise, but I should say it was delightful because everything is so aligned. And when I allow myself to get into that place of deep alignment, spiritually connect on that deep level, the messages are powerful and they're profound and they're meaningful in that moment. And so here's the meaning I made of this. So, yet again, another day in a row, I get a card again. This one says Scared to Fly. The right moment, sensing out the right timing. So here's some excerpts that, sort of hit me today when I was reading that. I'm going to read by a flashlight, so that's what you're seeing right now. New life is coming. You must be ready when the time is right. Who knows? Who knows what lies beyond? Because at this point in time, we don't know. There's so many uncertainties, and it's unprecedented, so we don't actually know what's going to happen. When the right time comes, her flight will activate change, bringing forth leaf buds and a new life to all. She is not alone in this timing. She must rely on her senses and heed to no other voice but her own. She has a direct communication with the planet. This card is about respecting. Boy, I can't read my own writing. Suspending activity and being in the moment. How important is that? All will unfold perfectly. So, as I'm reading these words, I'm overtaken by this emotion that, these words are really fitting for where I'm at today. So how I'm feeling and how I'm handling things and what's going on for me in my mind, in my body, in my spirit as I, move forward through this like everybody else does. Think of the chrysalis hanging, seemingly static from a branch, fragile, mysterious. It does nothing except become itself. It does nothing except become itself. Transformation is inner before it is manifested outwardly. Wanting to rush the results, unsure if doing nothing is enough, seeing stasis as nothingness, a lack of faith. That's the reverse meaning. When I read through that, it's just such perfect timing for where I see the world at this point in time and what other people potentially must be feeling, similar to what I'm feeling: overwhelmed, uncertain, excited, scared, like there's just a gamut of feeling that I run every day, and the only thing I can equate it to is trauma from my past. And so I'm revisiting some of that grief that is extremely deeply ground in there, and I hadn't realized how much I had avoided some of those feelings throughout time. The second card that I pulled was Little Boy Blue. Dreams come true. Return of the soul. Here's some things that I read that were meaningful to me today. Hope and promise are reborn in your life. As this beautiful baby fairy brings you innocence, trust, hope, and proof there are beautiful things in this world. This is a new incarnation, a chance to be reborn without passing. Your chance to become as a child again and be born anew, a return to source. This brings union. People of all kinds of different worlds can be drawn together now peacefully and can be happy and safe with each other. Like, those words are being written for this time, in my opinion. This is perfect timing to read such things. This child represents the new world into which we are able to be born and in which our intuitive possibilities will be enormously strong. This will be a time for fast growth and incredible development. This card is representing someone who is home with their sensitivity and their psychic abilities, who is able to help in the world just by being themselves. Just by being themselves. Who they are at their core, using their beautiful, innate, and intuitive talents. You know, I mean, I've said it once and I'll probably say it another 1,000 times. We are given such an opportunity to go home and break bread with our families. To go home and do something creative. To go home and rest. Because so many of us are so busy all the time that we've worn ourselves out. You know, I don't know how many times over the years I've wished that I had the ability to just take care of myself. And this has been a huge wake-up call where I'm like, okay, what can I do? What will I do? And the truth is, I don't want to give up sugar because sugar has been my friend for so long. And shoving stuff in my face has helped me cope. And the problem is that none of that is true. It's an illusion. It's something that I bought into. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to reset that. I have nothing but time now. There are no excuses. I can use my time scrolling social media and being fixated on filling the time in, and or I can get busy actually doing the real hard, arduous work that needs to be done in the vein of healing, in the intention of allowing some of the feelings that I've shoved down for so long to surface, to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, to be experienced. And I know, and I have great faith, that as I take each step each day, that I get closer and closer to what it is that I say that I want. And I hope that you too, whether you're isolated and alone and or with your family, please know that there are innovative ways of being together right now. And we're going to have to source those things out. I see so much creativity being born right now. And I always knew that creativity would be the resource that we would use to change the planet. And I see it happening. It's happening all over the place. It doesn't take a fool to see videos being made and classes being offered and music being made and dancing being fun and doing things that we don't normally take the time to do. It's not that we don't have the time, it's that we haven't made it a priority. And so now that I have the opportunity, I make things more a priority than I ever have. I'm still in mad resistance that this is happening. I'm still feeling all over the map and back and forth and back and forth. But I do know that pulling my cards every day, coming and making a video every day is certainly that gives me something that gives me purpose, and it has meaning, and it allows me to feel and process my thoughts and feelings, which is a really great feeling. This next card is called Merlin, and it is guidance, mentorship, teacher of the old ways. He is a teacher who claims not to know all, but who can guide you to the knowledge hidden within your own self, which seems out of reach and obscure in the moment. He wishes you to know that everything is your teacher, hearing the voices of stones, plants, water, and sky at this time, merging into that what you're most connected to, resistance creating suffering and repetition in your life, refusing to love your humanity, which is where your wisdom lies. You know, I've been in such resistance to actually living aligned to who I actually am for such a long time, in fear of offending someone. we all have a right to be here. We all have something to contribute. There is greatness in everyone. We're being asked to step up into that. We're being asked to do something different. And instead of self-medicating with booze or drugs or food, to actually start to listen, to start to comprehend that we are meant to feel deeply and that we're meant to connect deeply. You know, what I see being born out of this is a massive effort of the village and the community that comes together. You know, I see this Hearts on the Window spreading like wildfire. I'm in 2 different groups. There's over 35,000 people that are doing this. Not a lot in the whole big scheme of the globe, but it's a start, and it's starting to flourish. Why? Because people are investing in what they can do and what they're willing to do. And in times of trouble and strife, what better time to collectively come together and share hope. Hope for the future. Hope for growing things and learning how to get back to, you know, times that we have passed by, our ancestors, when they were growing their own food and taking care of their people, etc., and their families, and uniting communally, eating together, praising together, spending time, quality time together, which is amazing. And then tonight I had a little bit of a come apart. I, absolutely fell apart on the end of my bed, and I was just sobbing. I got in contact and clear about that there's a lot of grief going on here. And I'm equating this to, 15 or so years ago when my family went through a major trauma, and how devastated I was and how similar this feels. And understanding that, I pulled up my pants and did what it takes to raise my kids, but I negated taking care of myself. I just put myself on the side. I kept putting myself on the side. I'll get to it someday. Well, the problem is I never got to it. And here I am. I've often wondered and wished if I could just take my picture to all the drive-ins and take my picture to drive-thrus, and take my picture to, the dollar store where I get my junk food, and say, please, if I come here, don't let me come here anymore. But the truth is I never had the kahunas to actually follow through with that, and I didn't have the wherewithal to actually just tell myself no. But now it looks like I won't have an option. Or the option at this point in time is to drown myself in sorrow and food and keep going on that sort of wheel of despair, and or making some major changes. So I'm in the process of that. I'm sure that it's going to be up, down, sideways, and backwards, but I'm really crystal clear and aware that I'm moving forward to something new and different, and that I have something to contribute, and I matter, and I have worth, just because I breathe air. That's it. And when I was having this come apart, I got this loud ringing in my ear, which usually means to me that there's a message coming from the other side, and I can't hear or understand it. So I often say, okay, so I need to get that into a transmission so that I can understand it. And so I pulled another card. And so the 4th card today is called Glimpse. And why it's important. I'm going to read this card to you, and this is going to take a bit, and I hope that you stay with me. This fairy is a scout. He is looking through the borderlands into the human world, keeping a lookout for opportunities to glimpse people who have magics about them. New generations are coming, say the fairy wise ones, and he is so willing to share and learn from and with them. In truth, of course, we're all magical, but there are also children and young adults around today who are more open and ready than the generations preceding them. The fairies seek these beings so they can establish connections with them. These new children are easy to recognize if you know the signs to look for. Sometimes called indigos, these children are peaceful warriors and activists with deep love of nature. They are highly sensitive and discern very easily whether people are telling them the truth or trying to fool them. Some feel they are evolutionary leap into what humans are becoming. Ask this fairy, and he may say that the children he is looking out for are simply... aware of who they truly are. Others, older magical ones, are more scarred. They have had years of being told that they're not normal, and I know that I'm not the only one out there. So this fairy watches for them too, so they can be communicated with clearly and told that they are not mad, but clear, able to hear and see. These beings will return from this meeting with the scout with a vastly expanded sense of all that is. They will return from meeting vastly more connected to their own spiritual truths. They will believe their intuition after their meeting. They will know when they are being told the truth and when they are being lied to, just as they always have, but they will no longer be filled with self-doubt. Divinatory meaning. It is time to cease eating fast food and accepting authorities' messages simply because they are in charge. It is time to find your own inner authority and take action to change the planet in healthful, healing ways. Time to transmute your anger about politics, ego, and repressive regimes by taking meaningful and peaceful action for what you believe in. Seeing straight through illusions and speaking your truth needs to start now. You've been seen by the fairies as one of the evolving human ones, and as such you are responsible in your own inner truth, not to the exterior source of authority. Refuse to be dictated to, protect nature and gentle people, and you will come into happiness and balance. You are part of a new world, one which we are currently growing into. You are part of a new world, one that we are currently growing into. The more honest and true you are, the better off the planet and inhabitants and life forms will be. Profound. When I read that out loud to Ken earlier, he said, "What?" I said, "I know, it's completely fitting," and almost was like, oh, for this day, in this time, in history, this card is exactly what I needed to know. It was a confirmation that everything I've been feeling and everything I've been sensing and everything that I've been doing is definitely aligned with where I'm supposed to be. I'm so thankful for my dad at this point in time, and how I got to mend my relationship with him before he left this planet, and that he left me with pearls of wisdom that now makes sense to me 22 years later. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you every day because I've got time and I want to figure my stuff out and maybe help somebody else do the same. So I love you all. Send love to the planet. It needs it right now.